Well, hello. My name is Patricia, and I'm the host of the Poetry Pcast. I have something rather special for you this time. We're going to other worlds, which, as a major Star Trek and Star Wars nerd, makes me very happy. Even happier that we are going to space via the form of poetry to hear Sci-Fi Coup. I slapped down the challenge for you, and you responded magnificently. To use a word much beloved by one of the world's current leaders, your poems were tremendous, as we will hear. Some poets sent me poems that fell into other areas of speculative poetry, like horror, and so unfortunately received rejections, not because the poem was bad, but because they just weren't sci-fi coup. I promise we'll do speculative poetry another time. Today I'm joined by 4 lovely judges to talk about their nominations for the Judges' Choice. I know which of these poems it is. You will find out in the next journal, out in a few days' time. That's if you're listening to this in real time. ISA and Buson members will find out first, as they receive the journal as part of their memberships. Those of you on the mailing list will be offered an early bird discount for the journal, and of course, all the funds generated by membership journals and buying us a coffee help me to keep the podcast going. Thanks to all of you who helped me with that. So who are the judges? All of them are terrific poets. Kimberly Kuchar, C.X. Turner, David Cox, and Julie Bloss-Kelsey. It was a real treat to have them at P Towers. Going back to the journal, I wanted to tell you that there's a new section. I've invited the editing team, the team that edit haiku and senryu, to submit some poems too. They can't enter the competition for the Judges' Choice, but I thought it would be interesting for anyone who would submit to read the work of the editors, to know that they are poets too, and of course, get a feel for the poetry they write. They work really hard year-round, reading thousands of haiku, senryu, and tanka, so I can bring you this podcast. And I'd like to thank them very much. Thanks, Liam, Robert, Bandana, Lev, and Matt. They are a team of stars. Quite appropriate for today. I'm going to start with the poetry of the editors today, and then as we go along, we'll visit with the judges and find out their thoughts on the poems that were accepted via our submission period for Sci-Fi Coup. That's quite hard to say. So here's the editors section. Just in time for cherry viewing. The Mothership. Just in time for cherry viewing. The Mothership. Lev Hart. Still falling when I wake, microgravity nightmares. Still falling when I wake, microgravity nightmares. Liam Maguire. In space, no one hears the ice scream van. In space, no one hears the ice scream van. Robert Horrobin. To me, that's a little bit of a combination between horror and sci-fi coup. Thanks very much, chaps. And now we'll hear our first nomination from the submissions that were accepted during the Sci-Fi Coup period. And this is going to come from the poet Kimberly Kuchar. Before I recorded, I asked her how to pronounce her surname. Big mistake. As I pronounce it, I go into a panic and I bet I'm going to stay that way forever onwards. Kimberly, how did I do?
You did fine.
You. Now, you'll be very familiar with Kimberly because her work is often featured on the podcast and in our journals. And I really thank Kimberly for doing this because I think, Kimberly, you were a little bit nervous coming into this.
Yes, I was nervous, a little anxious, but I'm good now. I'm
Excellent.
happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, honestly. So tell us, who did you choose or what poem did you choose for your nomination?
I chose Event Horizon. She turns around and smiles. Event Horizon. She turns around and smiles. By Ravi Kiran, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly.
Fingers crossed, Kimberly, fingers crossed.
As I read through the list of poems, this one kept drawing me back. I was immediately touched by the sweetness of this sci-fi coup. At first, it seemed fairly straightforward to me, but after my second reading, I envisioned a number of different possible scenarios. An event horizon could mean the boundary of a black hole from which nothing can escape. Generally, it can also mean the point of no return. I initially pictured a man watching as a woman walks away. Then she stops and turns to look at him. The woman's smile absolutely sucks in the narrator, and there is no turning back for him. He's in love. Later, I wondered if the woman is actually about to go through a black hole, and this is a tragic farewell smile. My mind wandered. I love the way sci-fi or speculative, haiku and senryu can be filled with possibilities and can launch your imagination. Of course, the sci-fi genre is not just about science, space, aliens, or robots. It's also about what it means to be human. In Ravi's sci-fi coup, the humanity is nicely juxtaposed against space and specifically a black hole. The humanness of a smile and a connection can matter more than any galaxies, wormholes, or even gravity. I love the formatting of the poem as well. In the second line, she turns around, could indicate that any number of things are coming. Then the last line grabs the readers, and we are all swept up in that smile, along with the narrator.
Cheers, Kimberly. I'm a bit of a glass half empty person, so when I read the poem, I was definitely looking at the sadness, the melancholy, and thinking, oh, yes, there is love. These two love each other, but she's going, and my heart is breaking for presumably him. And I was thinking, it's amazing how we connect with these little poems given so few words and how we connect with the characters within them, isn't it?
Yes, I love the stories in speculative poetry.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Star-crossed lovers. The wormhole collapses between their worlds. Star-crossed lovers. The wormhole collapses between their worlds. Valentina Rinaldi Adams. Planet bound, knocking comet dust off my boots. Planet bound, knocking comet dust off my boots. Aya Rihanna. A triple somersault through gravity. Skylarks. A triple somersault through gravity. Skylarks. Anne Curran. Cactus bloom. Our first Christmas off planet. Cactus bloom. Our first Christmas off planet. Anne Fox. AirPods. The cosmos between my ears cratering. AirPods, the cosmos between my ears, cratering. Bonnie J. Shearer. Beyond the horizon, Earthrise. Beyond the horizon, Earthrise. Brett Brady. A bad day to dry washing, black hole looming. A bad day to dry washing, black hole looming. Clive Grucock. Spaceship journey. The captured mutant bellows her sorrow. Spaceship journey. The captured mutant bellows her sorrow. Doris Lynch. Under pale red light of twin blood moons, clash of cloned robots. Under pale red light of twin blood moons, clash of cloned robots. Douglas J. Lanzo. First Mars trip. The months listening to the air pump. First Mars trip. The months listening to the air pump. David Oates. Now, the next poem is something that you should really read in the journal to get full impact. But I'll read it a couple of ways to see if I can give you the idea. All he wants is to seal me away, alien hunter. All he wants is to steal me away, alien hunter. Deborah Carl Brandt. Passion flowers floating above us, such small ships. Passion flowers floating above us, such small ships. Ivanka Ettinger. Lunar landing, the snow-skin mooncake with footstep craters. Lunar landing, the snow-skin mooncake with footstep craters. Elliot Diamond. Haiku contest. In the multiverse, everyone wins. Haiku contest. In the multiverse, everyone wins. Emil Carla. Oh, that we could all live in the multiverse. Or maybe if you look at it a different way, oh, that we could all write excellent haiku. My ship descends through clouds. Retirement planning. My ship descends through clouds. Retirement planning. Eric Lohman. Now there's something I'm very familiar with at the moment. The black hole stretches across the known universe. Almighty full stop. The black hole stretches across the known universe. Almighty full stop. Gary Blackwell. Grandma's death. No matter how many times the DNA replicates. Grandma's death. No matter how many times the DNA replicates. Goran Gatalicha. Halfway to Alpha Centauri, Coronation Street. Halfway to Alpha Centauri, Coronation Street. Herb Tate. And for those of you who don't know the British television programme Coronation Street, I'm sure Google can help fill you in. There might even be something on YouTube. Immortality, the sun and I on an empty earth. Immortality, the sun and I on an empty earth. Janavi Gogoi. Meditating in a mountain hermitage. The stargate opens. Meditating in a mountain hermitage. The stargate opens. James Young. Ocean biodome. We teach our children whale song for deep trench warfare. Ocean biodome. We teach our children whale song for deep trench warfare. John Hawkhead. And now I think it's time to hear from another of our judges and find out who she's nominated. Let's go and meet CX Turner. CX Turner, another of our regular poets, is our next judge. You may know her poetry from here at P Towers and elsewhere, but you also might know her as the co-editor of Wales Haiku Journal, which I believe has a submission period open at the moment, but only just, so you're going to have to get a wiggle on end of March. CX Turner, welcome.
Thank you, Patricia. Hi, everyone.
It's lovely to have you. And I thought, seeing as we had you here, it would be very interesting to know what Wales Haiku Journal looks for in their submissions. Can you tell us?
Yeah, sure. I think the best advice would be to have a read of the journal to get a flavour of what sort of things we're publishing at the moment. But we're very much looking for seasonal haiku, also open to other forms. So Senryu, Haiban, Haiga, and more experimental short form poetry as well. So I think we're quite open to new forms, new sort of concrete poetry as well. But yeah, a variety.
Now that we know what Wales Haiku Journal looks for, perhaps we'll find out what one of the editors thought of one of the poems. Can you tell us which one you chose and why?
I chose a poem by Cynthia Anderson, Stealth UFO, A Second Day Moon. Stealth UFO, A Second Day Moon. This haiku for me is a striking example of minimalist sci-fi poetry, blending natural observation with the unsettling presence of the unknown. At first glance, it appears simple, an unidentified flying object hidden in the sky, mistaken for a second moon. However, upon closer analysis, it reveals layers of meaning that touch on perception, time, illusion, and the eerie feeling of something just beyond human awareness. This one-line poem juxtaposes two contrasting elements: the UFO, which represents artificiality, secrecy, and the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence, and the moon, a celestial body associated with cycles, time, and the familiar. The addition of stealth to the UFO suggests intentional concealment. This is not just a passing light in the sky, but something designed to go unnoticed. This adds an element of paranoia. Is this an advanced technology watching from above, or a hidden observer? The phrase "a second day moon" enhances this sense of unease. The moon appearing in daylight is already a slightly strange sight, but the presence of a second one disrupts natural order. This could imply an actual celestial anomaly or an optical illusion caused by the UFO's stealth technology. Either way, the poem subtly plays with the reader's trust in their own perception. And one of the other things that I really loved about this poem is its ambiguity. Who is the observer? Are they an ordinary person glancing at the sky, or someone aware of the presence of hidden crafts? Is the UFO truly there, or is the speaker misinterpreting what they see? The haiku allows for multiple readings: a literal second moon caused by an unknown celestial event, a UFO disguised as a moon using cloaking technology, a psychological moment of misperception where the speaker questions their own senses, a world where something has shifted, time, reality, or the very structure of the sky. This open-endedness makes the haiku linger in the reader's mind, does not provide an answer, only a glimpse of something uncanny. At its core, this haiku challenges the boundary between what is real and what is imagined. The stealth UFO may be an external presence, a hidden force monitoring the world, or it may be a trick of light, a misinterpretation of natural phenomena. Either way, the poem evokes a feeling of uncertainty that comes with looking at the sky and wondering if something is watching back. This ties into classic sci-fi themes of government secrecy and hidden technology, human limitation, and cosmic deception. I could talk about this poem, I think, a lot, but I will draw to a close and just give you some concluding thoughts, which was what makes this haiku so powerful, in my view, is its restraint. It doesn't over-explain, nor does it rely on dramatic imagery to create its sci-fi atmosphere. Instead, it presents a quiet, unsettling moment, one that could be a simple misunderstanding or a sign of something much larger. The poem captures the essence of speculative wonder, that brief moment when the ordinary world flickers, revealing something just beyond our grasp. By balancing ambiguity, layered phrasing, and an interplay between the natural and the unknown, Stealth UFO, A Second Day Moon stands as a masterful example of haiku's ability to capture vast concepts in a few words. It leaves the reader questioning, imagining, and just like the speaker, staring up at the sky, wondering what else might be there.
Thanks so much for such a detailed analysis. As you analyse that, and as somebody who regularly submits to Wales Haiku Journal, I'm thinking, gosh, if you read that, or if you go through that with every poem, it's going to take you forever to get to the end of the submissions. And so, was this an insight into how you approach the poems when you're reading them as an editor?
I'd love to say yes, but time wise, there's no way, I suppose, that you can go into such such a detailed analysis on every poem. We have up to we have a few thousand in each submission period, so there was just no way we could do that. But I think there are haiku that just stand out immediately, and then there are those ones that I think you hone in on and you look for the layers and the meaning, and delve into it, and before as you're part of the making new choices.
Thank you. I think that was perfectly put with your editor's hat on there. Thank you once again. You sent us and had one of your poems accepted. Do you think you could read it for us?
Yeah, of course. New Moon Colony, a child draws Earth from memory. New Moon Colony, a child draws Earth from memory.
Thank you very much, CX Turner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pauli exclusion principle. The other baseball dads turning their backs. Pauli exclusion principle. The other baseball dads turning their backs. Joshua Sinclair. Red reflections across our pond's surface. Martians arriving. Red reflections across our pond's surface. Martians arriving. Joan Liotta. The reassurance of Asimov's first law, our robot nanny. The reassurance of Asimov's first law, our robot nanny. Jenny Shepherd. Rewriting my code, speculating if it's real. Free will. Rewriting my code, speculating if it's real. Free will. John Paul Caponegro. Crossroads paradox. My destiny awaits both left and right. Crossroads paradox. My destiny awaits both left and right. Karen Hedetnimi. Survival plan. My bioluminescent prom dress. Survival plan. My bioluminescent prom dress. Cathabella Wilson. Do you know, obviously being British, I didn't have a prom. Also, I went to an all-girls convent school, so that wouldn't have helped, would it? But I am from the era when, should I have had a prom and a prom dress, it would almost certainly have been bioluminescent. Looking back at the fashion of that time, I can't help but roll my eyes. Playing leapfrog on the moon, I lose Ted. Playing leapfrog on the moon, I lose Ted. Linda L. Ludwig. Rain puddle. A cat steps into the Milky Way. Rain puddle. A cat steps into the Milky Way. Laurie Kiefer. Switching him to extra tidy mode. Robot boyfriend. Switching him to extra tidy mode. Robot boyfriend. Louise Hopewell. Louise, I bet my husband wishes that I had an extra tidy mode switch. No chance. Red always attracts attention, even in space. Red always attracts attention, even in space. Nani Mariani. Invasive species. My spacecraft lands on a bee. Invasive species. My spacecraft lands on a bee. Marielle Herbert. Melting. The snowman moves its eyes. Melting. The snowman moves its eyes. Marie Daly. Supercomputer mapping the stars. You are here. Supercomputer mapping the stars. You are here. Marjorie Pezzoli. Doppelganger. My death poem in his hand. Doppelganger. My death poem in his hand. Mark Forrester. Birthday wish, to feel a sunset on my skin. Birthday wish, to feel a sunset on my skin. Mark Gilbert. Sharing a joke, AI companion and me. Sharing a joke, AI companion and me. Melissa Dennison. Hungover, my clone attends the office meeting. Hungover, my clone attends the office meeting. Mona Betty. Moon-based garden, the lettuce learns my name. Moon-based garden, the lettuce learns my name. Nalini Shetty. Now here's a question. If that ever came true, could you eat a vegetable that could call you by your name? Day after day, same chores and headaches. Time loop. Day after day, same chores and headaches. Time loop. Natalia Kuznetsova. Red dust. A green leaf unfolds inside the glass dome. Red dust. A green leaf unfolds inside the glass dome. Nina Singh. O rover, climb Olympus Mons, but slowly, slowly. O rover, climb Olympus Mons, but slowly, slowly. Nick Hoffman. Well, aren't you impressed with the quality of the poetry written for the Sci-Fi Coup submissions? I know I am. And it's time to hear who David Cox, another of our poets, who was a judge this time, felt should be nominated for the judge's choice. Our next judge is David Cox, another poet often featured in the Poetry P Journal and, of course, the podcast. David, thank you so much for coming along to visit with us today and bringing your nomination for the judge's choice. It's very much appreciated. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. I have this thing with David. I can never, I mean, we've not met before, so I won't have it again, but I'm never too sure whether David is based in the States or somewhere else, or if he's from the UK. But I think from your voice, David, we have an answer.
Yes, I think the very first poem I submitted to you I wrote when I was in Memphis, and that might have something to do with it. It was the Kerouac inspired poetry many moons ago.
Oh gosh, that feels like very ancient history almost, but I think it was possibly series 5. And we're only on 8, so
It was
we have
literally on the road.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yes, you told me in the email that you were on the road. Ah, right. Okay, you were American, but other things, and we'll come on to it at the end, suggested to me that you might not be. So anyway, before we go on too much and start waffling and off topic, but tell us, who did you choose and why?
I hope my pronunciation is correct, but I chose the poem by Lakshmi Iyer. Kids eclipsed in the broken moon, abandoned planetarium. Kids eclipsed in the broken moon, abandoned planetarium. This is interesting because for me, sci-fi is relatively new genre. Obviously, it's been around since long before I was born. but it's relatively new to me. Now, I wouldn't want to suggest that reading short form poetry should be an intellectual exercise, but I think the really good ones do make me pause and reflect. This one in particular stood out to me because it had this really eerie sense of dystopia. The children, as a famous musician once asserted, are our future. The idea of them being exposed to any kind of literal or figurative fallout from a cataclysmic event brought about by humankind's hubris is unthinkable because they are innocents. As is often the case, it's the sense of mystery that intrigues me in this poem, the negative space. It's hauntingly resonant, the abandoned building. The enjambment between the first and second lines appears to amplify the sense of something fractured, possibly incomplete. And again, we do have fricative sounds in the poem. The auguries of doom are present in the poem in the implied eclipse, and the children are in the penumbra of that eclipse, the shadow. The moon itself is a harbinger of autumnal decay before the inevitable winter. I've just recently travelled to Bosnia-Herzegovina, and when I was there, I witnessed numerous abandoned buildings, shelled and riddled with bullet holes from the war in the early 1990s. At the top of the mountain, there's a stretch of bobsled track, which is a remnant from the Sarajevo Winter 1984 Olympics. I do think it's these kind of remnants that give the sense of the abandon, the implication being that perhaps the planetarium in the poem is as broken as the moon. I love the description of the moon as broken. Strange thing to say that you love something being broken, because it also suggests dysfunction. However, in terms of imagery, the moon is more often incomplete. It has a series of phases that are never together, which are rarely a whole form. Even when the moon is full, it has many monikers that I can only remember by having a cheeky Google, harvest moon, etc. The planetarium, a venue that should inspire wonder and serve as a metaphor for possibilities, discovery, and the potential of youth, has now become a place that no longer serves its purpose. It's not a place to marvel at the stars and contemplate humanity's place in the universe, but rather to stare at the impassive light of the moon, which, through its dysfunction, offers no solace.
It's quite desolate, isn't it, David?
I'm so sorry because I did think that when I looked back at what I said, I thought, gosh, that's really cynical. But then I think maybe that in this case, Sci-Fi does serve the purpose of reminding us of what is valuable in life.
Thank you very much for that. But David, I'm intrigued. What took you to Sarajevo and Bosnia?
I'm crossing off a few of the countries that I haven't visited in Europe, and there's quite a few that I need to travel to. So recently, I traveled to Montenegro,
Uh-huh.
Moldova, and Bosnia.
Oh,
Quite diverse, quite diverse.
yes. Actually, those are three that I haven't as yet got as far as going to. And of course, I'm right in the middle of Europe, really, so they've got no excuse. David, do you think you could read the poem that we're going to feature in, or your poem that we're going to feature in the next journal?
Of course. Trying to find a supervisor, intelligent life. Trying to find a supervisor, intelligent life.
You see, that's got a very British humor, sort of dry humor feel to me. I don't know if other people can hear that, but I very much enjoyed it. Thank you, David, and thank you for your analysis too.
You're welcome.
Thanks. A meld of everlasting love, sparks fly. A meld of everlasting love, sparks fly. Paul Callis. I wonder, Paul, have I found another Star Trek nerd? Space lane congestion charge. Galaxy warming fears. Some things never change. Space lane congestion charge. Galaxy warming fears. Some things never change. Paul Chapman. Apolloon. A satellite decomposes into time. Apolloon. A satellite decomposes into time. Pippa Phillips. Flying aunties alight on asteroid ice. Cannibal robots. Flying aunties alight on asteroid ice. Cannibal robots. Randy Brooks. Recalibrating from friendly to deadly. The androids smile. Recalibrating from friendly to deadly. The androids smile. Reed Hepworth. Voyager 2. The therapist says explore your own space. Voyager 2. The therapist says explore your own space. Richard L. Matter. $80 trillion watts. Io's hellscape pimpled with magma bursts. 80 trillion watts. Io's hellscape pimpled with magma bursts. Richard Tice. Time travel. Next to an old pond, we wait. Time travel. Next to an old pond, we wait. Rob McKinnon. Searching for intelligent life. The silence of the universe. Searching for intelligent life. The silence of the universe. The new genes don't quite fit my old clone. The new genes don't quite fit my old clone. Ruth Happel. And to get that one fully, you'll have to read it in the journal. Red period. Will there be an end post-Mars? Red period. Will there be an end post-Mars? Robert Kingston. Satellite blinks. Memories of fireflies back home. Satellite blinks. Memories of fireflies back home. Samantha Pardo Irigoyen. Martian jealousy. Such a deep shade of orange. Martian jealousy. Such a deep shade of orange. Sangeeta Kalarikal. Generation gap. My nephew measures it in light years. Generation gap. My nephew measures it in light years. Shrini. Alien kin from a carbon kiln. Supernova. Alien kin from a carbon kiln. Supernova. Steve Barr. Aurora boring Alice. Aurora boring Alice. Susan Birch. Extraterrestrial. Never getting to play the star. Extraterrestrial. Never getting to play the star. Terry L. French. Evolving species, our young son asks, are we there yet? Evolving species. Our young son asks, are we there yet? Tony Williams. Transporter malfunction. This little piggy stays in space. Transporter malfunction. This little piggy stays in space. Tracy Davidson. Distant sunlight. Nothing grows here but icicles. Distant sunlight. Nothing grows here but icicles. Wendy Toth. Lotar Nicola. Well, just one judge, but a couple of poems left. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Time to welcome back Julie Bloss-Kelsey and hear who she has nominated. Last but not least, we're meeting Julie Bloss-Kelsey again. You've heard her before as a community judge and as a poet, because she came to read to us as one of the featured Cuttlefish poets not long ago, and I'll put a link to that reading in the show notes if you want to follow it up. And you're probably going to be very happy to hear that she's coming along soon to read to us again from her book, Grasping the Fading Light. Welcome back, Julie.
Hi, Patricia. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Unless I've messed up, there is only one poet left who knows who the final nomination is, apart from yourself, Julie. So do you think you could put the rest of us out of our misery, please?
I chose a poem by A.D. MacDonald, and it reads as this: Bible pages, floating between stars, lost missionaries. Bible pages, floating between stars, lost missionaries. And I wrote, in the 16 years that I have been reading and appreciating haiku, particularly sci-fi, I don't remember ever seeing a poem about missionaries. This unique subject hooked me at first read. I have so many questions. Who are these missionaries? Are they still alive? Where are they going? What was their objective? Did they attempt to share their faith with aliens? How would that even work? The pivot line of L2 allows for even more questions. Are the Bible pages floating between stars after a ship disaster? Are the missionaries lost, adrift but safe for now in their spaceship, reading their Bible for comfort? Maybe the entire sci-fi is an allegory, and we are all a bit lost in our own lives as we hurtle through space aboard planet Earth, seeking comfort in something larger than ourselves. This sci-fi is a good example of a haiku with resonance. Resonance refers to the haiku's ability to connect with and captivate readers, drawing them in time and again to reveal more interpretations with each subsequent read. I will come back to A.D. MacDonald's sci-fi. I feel as though I've only scratched the surface of this infinitely fascinating little poem.
Thanks, Julie. Another little story in this poem. And do you know, as I read it, it could almost be, what do you call it, when you put a proposal together for a screenplay? I could see it being a little proposal for a screenplay for a Star Trek episode, if you know what I mean.
I do, and I just found it fascinating. I've never seen a poem like that, and I read through the other poems. There were many lovely choices. I know I had another that was a second choice for me. But I ultimately came back to this one because I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I just wanted answers to my questions. And I think that's the point of really captivating haiku and sci-fi is it just leaves us wondering and thinking about it. And so that was it for me.
Yeah, they tend to have so many more possibilities than those poems that are on Earth, if you get what I mean.
I do.
So thank you very much, Julie. Until we meet you again to hear some of your poems from Grasping the Fading Light, do you think you could read us the poem that's going to be featured in the Poetry P Journal this time? One of yours, that is.
Celadon Sky, seeing the world through your eye stalk. Celadon Sky, seeing the world through your eye stalk. Sci-fi Ku is really important to me because I came to haiku through Sci-fi Ku. So if it weren't for the existence of Sci-fi Ku, I wouldn't be a haiku poet today. So the very first poem that I had an aha moment with was a Sci-fi Ku. I can't track it down, but it ended eye to eye stalk. And when I hit eye stalk, the whole poem flipped and I went, wow, that's what they're all supposed to do. So that's my poem is a nod partly back to that poem. And I wish I could find the original author of the eye to eye stalk poem because I owe them a lot. I always assumed it was Deborah Klaji, but I could not find it. I've looked, and I think it was in an online issue of, I don't know how to say it, Sci-Fi Quest, Sci-Fi Kuist, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
But I think it was an online version, and I think I just didn't see it after that. But it opened up worlds for me. Sci-Fi Ku opened up worlds for me, and I owe a lot to Sci-Fi Ku.
There you go. I mean, my first guess was it sounds like something that Debbie would have written. But let's see if we can find it for you. That would be good. Cheers. Thank you so much. Always think it's lovely to hear the poet read in their own voice. Thank you. And thank you to all the judges that gave up their time to read to us today and do the analyses. Just so you know, they choose the poem blind. They don't know who the poems are written by until they've chosen the poem. And now, as judges, we have one more task left, and that's to thrash out which of these poems should be the judge's choice and which the honourable mention. So that's what we're going to do. Hopefully, no blood will be spilt. Don't forget, you can find out the results of the judges' deliberations in the next journal, 125. It will be out very soon. In the meantime, if you're listening to this before the end of March, I have submissions for you, should you be willing to accept them. As discussed with CX Turner, Wales Haiku Journal is accepting submissions until the end of March. Get cracking, you now know what they want, and if you've missed it, check out their submission periods so you can submit next time. Submit to our monthly video prompt on the Poetry P YouTube channel. There's a lovely video from Anthony Lusardi on there to inspire you. Thank you, Anthony. Start putting together some death poetry for our next submission period. Remember, we're writing death awareness haiku and tanka, not poetry about the death of other people. Do you know the poem that inspired Julie's haiku career? If you do, please send me an email. And if you would be so kind, do think about being one of the community judges for another submission period. Okie dokie, that's it for this week. Thank you for coming along to listen. Thank you for submitting, and thank you for your support, however you give it. Until next week, when there's more original poetry, and maybe some extra bits and bobs, keep writing. Ooh, and one mission I forgot. Make sure you're on the mailing list. You don't just benefit from early bird offers for the journals. Ciao!